Welcome again to Deep Dive on your channel, Book Echoes. Today we're digging into a book that honestly has become a cornerstone of modern management thinking. It's Jim Collins' Good to Great: Why Some Companies Make the Leap and Others Don't.
It really is a landmark study. Collins, who also wrote Built to Last, wanted to answer a very specific question.
Right. Not how great companies stay great, but how average or even bad companies can make that leap to enduring greatness.
Exactly. We're talking about companies that weren't, born with great DNA. They had to transform themselves.
And the methodology here is what gives it so much weight. This wasn't just a survey or a series of interviews.
Not at all. It was a massive 5-year research project. The team sifted through thousands of companies to find just 11 that met this incredibly strict criteria.
Which is what, exactly?
Well, they had to show a clear transition point, and then for the next 15 years, generate stock returns that were, I think it was 6.9 times the general market.
15 years. That's sustained success.
It is. And the real genius of the study is the comparison. They didn't just look at the 11 winners. They compared each one to a direct competitor that didn't make the leap.
So you can see what one did right and the other, well, didn't.
And they also looked at companies that made a jump but couldn't sustain it. So it really isolates the variables that lead to enduring excellence.
Okay, this is going to be good. But before we get into the findings, before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, press the like button, and activate the notification bell to receive all new content. Your support encourages us to continue. Okay, let's unpack this. The first major finding, and maybe the most surprising one, is about leadership. You have to forget the celebrity CEO.
Right. That was the foundational discovery. The leaders who drove these transformations were almost universally the opposite of what you'd expect. Collins calls them level 5 leaders.
Level 5. And what defines that? Because it sounds a bit like corporate jargon.
It's actually a really powerful idea. It's this paradoxical mix of deep personal humility on one hand.
Okay, humility. I get that.
And on the other, an intense, almost fanatical professional will. They are more like Abraham Lincoln than, say, General Patton.
So how does that work in practice? How do you have an intense will without a massive ego?
That's the key. Their ambition isn't for themselves, it's for the institution. They channel their ego away from personal glory and into building something that will last long after they're gone. They're obsessed with setting up their successors for even greater success.
Whereas the comparison companies?
2/3 of them had leaders with what Collins calls gargantuan personal egos. They were brilliant, charismatic, but everything was about them. When they left, the company often fell apart.
Give me an example of a level 5 leader.
Darwin Smith at Kimberly-Clark is the classic case. He was a lawyer from inside the company, so self-effacing, he'd hang out with plumbers and electricians rather than other CEOs.
But he had that professional will.
Absolutely. He made one of the gutsiest calls in business history. He sold off the company's paper mills, their traditional core business, to go all in on consumer products and take on Procter & Gamble.
A huge bet.
Wall Street thought he was insane, but he just quietly held the course. 25 years later, Kimberly-Clark was the #1 paper-based consumer products company in the world.
And the contrast.
Look at Al Dunlap at Scott Paper, the company Kimberly-Clark eventually bought. He called himself Rambo in pinstripes. He made a fortune in 600 days by gutting the company, but it was completely unsustainable. He was a level 4 leader, all ego.
So once you have that level 5 leader, the next principle just flips everything on its head. It's first who, then what?
Yeah, this is so counterintuitive. We're all taught that you start with the vision, the strategy, the destination.
Right, figure out where you're going, then get the people to execute the plan.
Collins found the good to great leaders did the complete opposite. They focused first on getting the right people on the bus, getting the wrong people off the bus, and getting the right people in the right seats.
And only then.
Only then did they figure out where to drive the bus.
So the people are more important than the strategy.
The right people are the strategy. Because if you have the right people, they're self-motivated. You don't need to tightly manage them. They'll figure out how to adapt to a changing world.
And this kind of ties into compensation, doesn't it? The study found no real link between executive pay and performance.
Exactly. The right people will do the right things and deliver the best results they can, largely irrespective of the incentive system. Their inner drive, their moral code demands it.
The Bank of America versus Wells Fargo example really drives this home.
It does. After deregulation, Bank of America had this weak generals, strong lieutenants model. Basically, managers waited for orders from the top.
A culture of compliance.
Whereas Wells Fargo was obsessed with hiring the best people they could find and then encouraging fierce eyeball-to-eyeball debate.
A culture of debate.
And when the banking world was turned upside down, which team do you think was better prepared to figure out the new reality? Wells Fargo thrived because they had the right people on the bus already.
Okay, so you have disciplined people. That leads directly to the next phase, disciplined thought, which starts with facing reality.
Yes. This is where the Stockdale paradox comes in. It's named after Admiral Jim Stockdale, who was a prisoner of war in Vietnam.
And the paradox is?
You have to maintain absolute unwavering faith that you will prevail in the end. You can't lose hope.
Okay, the optimist's view.
But at the same time, you must confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they may be.
So faith for the future, but brutal honesty about the present.
Exactly. It's the ones who said we'll be out by Christmas, who didn't make it. They died of a broken heart. You have to balance the optimism with realism.
How did these companies create a climate where that kind of brutal truth could be heard?
Well, the leaders led with questions, not answers. They created forums for debate, not coercion. Look at Fannie Mae.
Right, they were losing $1 million a day.
Every single business day. That's a brutal fact. But they never lost faith that they would succeed. They confronted the reality of their broken business model and set out to become the absolute best in the world at managing mortgage risk. And they did it.
They also used what Collins calls red flag mechanisms.
Yeah, things that make the truth unavoidable. Like at Granite Rock, they had a short pay system. If a customer wasn't happy with any part of an invoice, they could just cross it out and not pay it.
Wow.
It forced the company to confront quality issues immediately. The truth had a financial consequence you couldn't ignore.
Here's where it gets really interesting. All of this disciplined thought, this brutal honesty, leads to one simple, powerful idea, the Hedgehog Concept.
Yes, it's based on that old parable. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. The good to great companies were all hedgehogs.
They found one simple, unifying concept.
A concept that flows from understanding 3 overlapping circles. First, what can you be the best in the world at? And that's a high bar, not just a core competence. What are you deeply passionate about? And third, what drives your economic engine? What's the one key metric? Your profit per X.
And it took them years to figure this out, right?
An average of 4 years. It's a process of deep, sustained thought, not a weekend retreat. Look at Walgreens.
Their hedgehog was convenience.
Their hedgehog was being the best, most convenient drugstores with high profit per customer visit. Every part of that is crucial.
Not profit per store, but per customer visit. That's a fascinating shift.
It changes everything. It led them to cluster stores on corners, to pioneer drive-through pharmacies. Every decision was filtered through that simple concept.
And the results were incredible.
They beat the stock market by over 15 times, better than Intel, GE, Coca-Cola over the same period, because they had that hedgehog clarity.
While their competitor, Eckerd, was the fox buying candy companies, home video stores, chasing growth everywhere.
Lurching all over the place. No central guiding idea. They never found their hedgehog.
So this all leads to the final phase, disciplined action. You have the right people and the right thoughts. Now you need a culture of discipline.
And again, this is not what people think. It's not about a tyrant at the top cracking the whip. That's what you saw in the companies that had a brief success and then failed.
So it's not about having a disciplined leader.
It's about having self-disciplined people who take disciplined action. It's about creating a framework of freedom and responsibility.
Collins calls it rinsing the cottage cheese.
Yeah, it's about that extreme diligence. The CEO of Wells Fargo, Carl Reichert, was famous for it. He froze executive salaries, sold the corporate jets, even got rid of the free coffee.
That's not about saving money on coffee.
No, it's a symbolic act. It sets a tone of rigor. It says, we are all accountable, we are all disciplined, starting at the very top.
Okay, let's talk about technology. Because today, everyone thinks tech is the answer to everything.
And the research is so clear on this. Technology is an accelerator, not a cause.
Say that again?
Technology by itself is never the primary root of greatness or decline. The good-to-great companies were often technological laggards. They used a crawl, walk, run approach.
So they only embraced tech after they knew where they were going.
Precisely. They became pioneers in applying technology that fits squarely inside their hedgehog concept. It was a tool to accelerate momentum they already had.
Like Walgreens with their satellite network.
Perfect example. They spent hundreds of millions on it, but only because it directly served their hedgehog of convenience, linking all their stores together. It accelerated their flywheel.
So what does this all mean, all these pieces? The leadership, the people, the thought, the action. How does it all come together? The flywheel effect.
Right. And this is so important. The transformation from good to great never happened in one fell swoop. There was no miracle moment.
No grand launch or single killer innovation.
No. It felt from the inside like pushing a giant, heavy flywheel. The first turn is almost impossible. But you keep pushing consistently in one direction.
Turn after turn.
And you build up momentum, slowly at first, then faster and faster until you hit a breakthrough point. It's the accumulation of all those small, disciplined efforts.
And the comparison companies are stuck in the opposite, the doom loop.
A doom loop. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
They lurch from one program to the next, hoping for that miracle moment that never comes. They restructure, bring in a new celebrity CEO, launch a new vision.
And it kills all momentum.
It destroys it. They never get the flywheel spinning. Greatness is about consistency and coherence over a long period of time.
So to summarize, level 5 leaders get the right people on the bus. Those people confront the brutal facts to find a simple hedgehog concept. Then they use disciplined action to push the flywheel with technology as an accelerator.
That's the framework, and it leads to this really powerful final thought that Collins leaves us with, something that applies to all of us, not just CEOs.
Which is?
The question isn't why should we try to be great, but rather what work makes you feel so compelled that you have to try to create greatness?
That reframes everything. It suggests that if you don't feel that internal drive, that passion to build something excellent,
you're probably in the wrong job or on the wrong bus. The journey from good to great shows that enduring success is almost impossible unless the work is deeply meaningful to the people doing it.
So great life, just like a great company, can't just be successful. It has to be meaningful.
That's the ultimate takeaway. That's the engine that drives the whole flywheel.
A really compelling connection between the corporate world and our own lives. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. We will meet again in another episode with another book. Take care of yourself and see you next time.